Good morning. Today is March 21st, and this is the Bitcoin Morning Brief. I'm Leah Wald, hosting this morning, here with Tone Vays and Giacomo Zucco, CEO of BHB. So the government here is closed in DC for the snow, although it's just starting to snow now. I'm actually surprised you were able to fly out last night, Tone. Wasn't it dumping?
No, it wasn't bad at all, actually. My flight was delayed by like 1 hour. For those of you that aren't aware, I am in Russia. You can see it right out. Or if I turn the camera here. There you go. There's Russia for you. Beautiful out. Look at that. Can't wait to go out there. That's pretty much where I left back home. It's about the same. But yeah, I'll be in Moscow for like 3 or 4 days and then Ukraine.
Awesome. Giacomo, good to have you back.
Thank you. Good to be back. And here there is no snow, actually a little bit of sun. It's still pretty much cold for being late March in Italy, but at least we don't have snow. So glad to be back.
Sounds good. All right, on to our first story.
So Bitcoin briefing and weather briefing all in one podcast. That's great.
The weather report is always wrong here in DC, so hopefully we just got ours correct. All right, Hong Kong Stock Exchange looks to ASX for blockchain equity settlement. So the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, the HKEX, is looking to follow its Australian counterpart in developing a blockchain settlement system. So this is absolutely in alignment with yesterday's story, I believe, about Northern Bank partnering with PwC. The importance here to note is that it's another example of when someone in the industry uses the blockchain, it does lay the groundwork for another company to be very excited and jump in to do the same. Blockchain, regardless of all the confusion and with no one understanding the regulation or the tech, we keep getting stories of very large important entities that have gone ahead and started developing uses. So Giacomo, I do believe that this is going to create a snowball effect to mass adoption.
Another snowball effect in mass adoption of the blockchain world for marketing purposes, in my opinion. This is the digital asset holding implementation again that was already used by the Australian stock market. Basically, the real problem with all this kind of news is that the blockchain technology, the blockchain idea itself was very, very useful for a very specific problem, which is eliminating any central counterparty for anti-double spending. And when you try to use that technology for your central counterparty, for your central trusted counterparty, you don't actually leverage the blockchain concept at all. So what are these guys calling blockchain? They are in the best situation, they are calling blockchain some kind of use of a tamper evident or a transparent or externally auditable cryptographic signature over information. So they can have the centralized system that they always had, like a stock exchange database, but they can give some more transparency to that using, for example, timestamping over the blockchain, or that's possible a legit use case. Also, they can mean blockchain as in distributed database, which is something that Google is doing since 20 years. It's not something new. Or they can mean blockchain to mean open source public standards, which is anyway not what they are using right now, because they're using mostly closed proprietary permissionless solutions. So I don't think that these news are actually an indication of realistic use cases inside of traditional financial sector. I'm way more bullish to see, for example, some kind of Hong Kong Stock Exchange maybe listing some kind of Bitcoin related company or something like that, instead of trying to use the blockchain technology internally, because the term is very ambiguous. It brings little to no meaning right now. And so, of course, everything is good to keeping the hype alive, and we use the hype, so it's okay.
Tone, it says here, ultimately be to utilize a blockchain platform to settle stock borrowing and lending, as well as OTC trades at a reduced cost compared with traditional methods.
Yeah, so I really thought the ASX story had died. It's unfortunate that it's been resurrected. I was also hoping that when they reached out to ASX would tell them that they're not actually using a blockchain. Unfortunately, maybe they don't want to admit what they're actually doing or not doing. Hey, Giacomo, you weren't on the show like a couple of weeks ago, like 3 weeks ago, when we talked about someone there's a Chrome extension out there. And if you install this Chrome extension, any article or any mention of the word blockchain gets replaced by multiple copies of a giant Excel spreadsheet.
That's great. Yeah, yeah.
So that's kind of what this is. And like you said, Google's been doing it for 20 years. Well, Excel's been doing it before that, right? Though Google took Excel and they made a Google Doc out of it, and this is the functionality that they're using. This functionality is identical to using a Google Doc of Excel, where someone can instantly type something and anyone else can see it, and you can have an automated email sent, or automatically update the database, and there are records of who updated it and when. But yeah, so it's the same story all over again. I don't know why these things suddenly got resurrected. Maybe it's because, like, I don't know, Hyperledger is competing with Ripple. I have no idea. But there's nothing revolutionary here. They're updating a database. Anyway, I guess we'll have to live with it.
Tone, Giacomo, you guys are experts. And Tone, you're on Everipedia, but not Wikipedia. So let's go into this next story. So Wikipedia rival Everipedia plans token airdrop in June. Pretty simply, decentralized encyclopedia startup Everipedia, as I hadn't heard about it, plans to distribute its proprietary tokens later this year through an airdrop. So this is, again, a smaller company trying to create, I think, from a business perspective, a point of differentiation to successfully enter and succeed in a very saturated market with a very strong market leader. Everipedia is no Wikipedia. And now we have a company trying to come in and do an ICO to try to steal Wikipedia's clients. This will create pressure, I think, for every company to get involved, whether there's a short time period that the window's open. So I do believe that this goes back to the first story of earlier adopters in the industry. So very simply, when regulators crack down on ICOs, this will go away. But the longer they take to point out ICOs and call them scams and shut them down, very important people, companies, businesses will be under attack to use it. Tone?
Yeah, so this is a bit problematic, right? I actually do have a page on Everipedia. I'm still waiting for my Wikipedia page. But see, this is the problem. Like, Everipedia has no money, so they need money. They want to compete with Wikipedia because Wikipedia stays relevant on donations, right? There's no insider favoritism. Well, there could be, but not financially anyway, right? So Investopedia, they don't even do ads. They don't do anything. They're just supported by donations. Say again?
Wikipedia.
Wikipedia, sorry. So this Everipedia project, and I think I've met like one of the founders of that, because somebody told me about my page when they first built it, and they're doing an ICO token. So obviously all they're doing is securitizing this thing with an unlicensed, unregistered security that has absolutely no value. If you read this article, it's complicated as hell. You need an EOS token in order to get this token. They're launching it on EOS. EOS is a competitor to Ethereum. Everyone is running their own protocol to run their own money on top of this protocol. I mean, it's just, I don't understand how people are continuing to fall for this nonsense. This is it, man. I mean, you have Ethereum. So in order to get an ICO on top of Ethereum, you need to go out and buy the currency of Ethereum, which is Ethereum. Then you have to go out and buy the currency of your project in order to invest in that project, because that project has convinced you the only way to use that project is with their own currency. Now, you don't even have a single protocol to build it on. Some are going to be building on EOS. some are going to be building on Tezos, some are going to be building on Waves. It's all over the place. And now, sooner or later, one of these things on top of EOS is going to build its own platform on top of EOS that's going to support other platforms. This is completely ridiculous. I keep doing this analogy. It's like you want to buy a product from eBay, but you can't because eBay only accepts eBay stock to buy on eBay. So therefore, you have to go out and buy eBay stock. But you can only use eBay stock to bid on the product on eBay. In order to actually buy it, you need to use PayPal. So PayPal has its own stock that gets pumped and dumped by 12-year-olds that you now have to source in order to pay for your product on eBay, a website you can only access with eBay stock. But in order to get your hands on either of those stocks, you need to go to E-Trade or Scottrade, which themselves have their own internal currency that require you to use E-Trade stock in order to buy eBay stock, in order to buy from eBay. This is the model that all of you people are believing in. It is beyond ridiculous and totally stupid. And the longer you let it go on and the more you pump these ridiculous ICOs with absolutely no usefulness, none whatsoever, other than speculation for the creator of this project, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse until it eventually collapses in such a horrendous way that you're going to run to the government and screw up Bitcoin in the process. This is what pisses me off.
Giacomo, it says members of the community would be able to vote on which network Everipedia should choose.
Yes, so they should have another token in order to give voting rights to select which kind of token platform they can choose. I actually think that this is another side of the same coin with the, on one side, you have the tokenless private blockchains like the Hong Kong stock market, digital asset holdings, R3SEV, Hyperledger, and stuff like that. They are scared to touch the money, so they want financial ledgers without any kind of economic incentives, so they're just databases. On the other hand, you have the other extreme, which is we tokenize everything, even what does not does not make any sense at all to tokenize. So this is a good example. I mean, Wikipedia, as Tom said, runs on donations. So you can use PayPal to donate to Wikipedia. It's not like WikiLeaks where political pressures censored the PayPal or credit card donations. You can donate with the legacy system to Wikipedia. So they do not need actually a censorship-resistant alternative. But what if they want to pay for contributors to incentivize content creation? They can still use normal legacy system if it's legal, and they cannot if it's illegal. But if it's illegal, then they will be better off to do micropayment with something like Bitcoin instead of creating a new kind of alternative, insulated, not interoperable currency of their own. The power of currency is network effect. You don't want to create your own currency. It's like if we wanted to communicate among us, not using English, which is the de facto standard, but everybody of us will invent his own language. Currency is communication. You need to use the standard. You just create useless friction if you create a new currency. So as Tom said, they only need money. The honest way to do that will be to ask for donation, maybe in cryptocurrency if they want. They can just open a Bitcoin address and ask for donations. They can give you back a GPG signed email that says that you donated and so you are a good person. That's the most honest digital reward that they can give you back for a donation.
Yeah, they can also go for, other investment. Like, look, there are important people donating hundreds of thousands of dollars to Lightning, to Bitcoin Core development, because these people see it as important, and the building of this technology will make their life better. Like, I'm not a big fan of Wikipedia, but I'm certainly not a big fan of someone from the crypto world is going to make it better. Really? I doubt that. Now, I do think Wikipedia is a bit dangerous because Wikipedia can change our history to whatever they wanted to say. and then that's going to be, fact. I mean, look, I got my complaints about Wikipedia. I've talked about them publicly for years throughout the shows. You're not allowed to edit your own Wikipedia page. So if someone says something about you and it's like grossly incorrect, they're not going to let you edit it. They're going to say, well, that's what the community thinks of you, so there you go. Or that's what like it happened to some author. Like some guy wrote a Wikipedia page about a book, and he said this was the motivation for this author writing a book. And then the author came out, no, it wasn't, and Wikipedia wouldn't let him change it. But another note I was going to say on this was, oh man, shoot, I already forgot. I had a point there somewhere. Here's the problem. Here's the problem, right? If this nonsense of ICOing a Wikipedia competitor goes on and it's allowed to thrive, then this competitor to Wikipedia will have hundreds of millions of dollars that Wikipedia can't compete with. So you're almost forcing Wikipedia to also ICO, because otherwise the other company that can print money out of thin air is going to outcompete them, even though Wikipedia probably has a better product. Okay, this is the problem. The same thing happens. I already see people in the chat. They're like, oh, I'm going to ERC20 tone vase token. Okay, if the regulators don't solve this problem, I am now being obligated to do something illegal because somebody else will and pretend to be me, right? This is the problem. Like I had to go I got Instagram tone vase just because I didn't want some scammer getting it. This is the problem, that someone else can pretend to be you and scam your followers with this stuff.
Right. It'll be interesting. I mean, I was actually playing around with Bloomberg a bit this morning, and eBay has actually received some interesting focus from active investors, and it's been trading. Maybe, how does eBay's new payment system, it's called Aiden, work? When will it launch? Absolutely on the fence of a buy and a sell. But it'll be interesting to follow. Although, sorry, I don't know. When you were talking about eBay earlier, I got caught up and got excited about that. Yeah, but yes, regarding Everipedia, we'll see how the rest of your bio changes, as well as Giacomo. It seems as if you should be on alert if you end up there pretty soon as well. So moving to a disturbing story. Right. Child abuse imagery found within Bitcoin's blockchain. So German researchers have discovered unknown persons are using Bitcoin's blockchain to store and link to child abuse imagery, potentially putting the cryptocurrency in jeopardy. And this is on The Guardian. So I can't believe that with all the people looking into and exploring the Bitcoin blockchain, that they have not seen this before, right? I do believe that this is either a hoax or unverified research or a troll trying to drive Bitcoin's prices down with some sort of falsified story, because this runs counter to everything we know about blockchain setup and runs and how proof of work is necessary to verify. So I think something's off here, and I think that we need to wait for more information before anyone draws any conclusions from the story. Giacomo?
So this is in fact a very outdated FUD from 2013. I can send you in chat, but Kylie Torpy already tweeted some hours ago the reference to the first child porn alarm on the Bitcoin blockchain. It was published on the Daily Dot on 7th of May 2013, and it was basically the same thing. So so it's not just nothing new, but it's also nothing real. Exactly, that's the old article, 2013, and it's basically the same thing. Basically, you can, so every kind of content, digital content, images, link, everything is a number. With the right codification, you can turn any number into any kind of digital content. You can violate digital right management. You can have illegal pornography. You can everything. You can have everything inside a number if you have the right decodification of that. The problem is that the legal part stays in the decoder, not in the code base. I can take every kind of random data. I can take a Bible in English, and I can apply a decodification that turns the Bible with an out entropy into some kind of illegal image. So everything can be encoded inside a opereturn or output or any other free field in the blockchain. So if you are a miner, you can do basically you can do non-standard transaction, or you can put stuff in the Coinbase. If you're not a miner, you are just opereturn, or you can create a fake output. So what do you have there? You have like 80 something bytes in the operator. It is not enough, and it will never be enough to encode an image. But of course, with the right kind of interpreter, you can turn any kind of hexadecimal number into any kind of digital content. So this just doesn't make any sense. Basically, this guy created some kind of code that can turn some kind of blockchain information into some illegal image. But
it's not an image. It's links.
So there is one, yeah, there is one file they consider to be an encrypted image directly, which is what I'm mostly talking about. And then there are a lot of links. You can put links into 80 bytes. That's more feasible, but that's not a problem unique to the Bitcoin blockchain. Actually, you can find plenty of illegal content links in a Passbin, into GitHub itself, into Reddit, links to Onion, illegal websites with gambling, illegal pornography, drugs are found everywhere in the internet. You cannot just rule out illegal. Any kind of page with a public access can easily store that kind of information, and it does. So the information is not false. It's exaggerated in the sense that files like images cannot be put there in clear text. You can just encode something with the right key of decoding, and then you can put very short links to, I don't know, Onion pages, but that's there you're not storing anything illegal. You are just storing a reference to some Tor servers that will store something illegal. But anyway, this goes at the core of the real problem in making information illegal. This is back to the situation in which Adam Beck was printing T-shirts with illegal numbers, because these numbers could represent a way of exporting cryptography that was back then considered a military weapon. So it's very easy to create FUD and fake news from this crazy interpretation of storing files. The reality is that the Bitcoin blockchain is a very, very bad place to store information, to store data, because a blockchain is an horrible place to store data. It is expensive, and so you don't want to store your data on a blockchain. So this kind of attack is immediately self-defeated by the fact that it's very expensive, and it will be even more expensive. If anything, thanks for the fee level rising, because it will make more expensive in the future to abuse the blockchain, to put stupid or obscene links inside it.
Tone, how do you think United States regulators will respond?
I don't know, because, well, Giacomo pretty much said everything I was going to say, even in a slightly more technical way. I was going to talk about how this is why you don't want your blockchain to be infinite and unlimited data storage for free, which is ridiculous. This is why I said everyone should back up everything on Bcash, because they want you to have infinite and unlimited data storage. But the other thing I was going to say was, if this is going to be deemed a problem, then we've all been criminals forever, right? Because using the internet is the same exact thing as this. It's just like the storage of links, or like Giacomo just explained. So any politician that tries to go after Bitcoin blockchain for this reason some lawyer has to explain to the politician, okay, but then you've been violating this forever since the day you've been using the internet, because it's the same exact principle.
Right. On to perception and politics. So report, Russians helped Venezuela launch the Petro. Russian government Let's highlight. Officials and businessmen helped the Venezuelan government launch the world's first state-backed cryptocurrency. So I believe this is Putin doing what he continues to do around the world, which is attempting to thwart, honestly, Western democracies in terms of their elections, their foreign policy, and now he's utilizing cryptocurrency only a day after Trump publicly announced the ban, which we spoke about yesterday. This, I believe, is now changing the narrative of the United States against Venezuela and now the United States against Russia. Tone.
So sorry, Ton, be careful and don't go too much in depth of this until you are in Moscow.
Yeah, until I fly out of here. No,
very true.
I mean, I got nothing against Russia here. I mean, that's not a problem. My problem here is why the hell is a blockchain involved? None of this has anything to do with blockchain. Is this Petro and ERC20 token? Do you know, Giacomo?
No, they switched it to Wave. It was supposed to be, they switched it to Wave like in the last 5 days or something.
So it's built on Wave.
It was a very meta. Yeah, I think it's but
okay. So Wave. Okay. So well, I guess Ethereum was also built by a Russian, but at least Vitalik is. I think he's a Canadian citizen. Wave actually was built by Russian, and it's. You don't need that. You don't need it. You wanna. I mean, I explained this yesterday when we talked about this same thing. Where I mean, what is backing this currency by oil? The fact that Maduro says that it is. What is making this token only have 6 billion coins or whatever the hell the spec is? The fact that one guy said that that's what it's going to have. There is absolutely nothing blockchain about this project. This is what's ridiculous about it. Again, this is this is how Bitcoin ends up always in the news, because people are, you know, using Bitcoin, the buzzword Bitcoin, they're using the buzzword blockchain to come up with their own stupid projects that are going to potentially cause some international incidents. Meanwhile, Bitcoin has enough, you know, Bitcoin can cause enough damage on its own. It doesn't need, like, you know, a bunch of bullshit making it even like more perceptually damaging.
So sorry, I have to correct myself. At the end, the choice was NEM. Instead of Ethereum.
Wait, it got built on NAM?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's even worse.
Yeah.
All right, Leah, come on. How about you translate some Spanish for us?
¿Por qué, Ton? ¿Por qué? A mañana. All right, so let's move on. Después. And actually, we are done with our stories. So, Giacomo, can you tell us about the mempool today?
Well, wait. I'm curious of Giacomo's view on this. Unless I'm sure he agrees with me on the whole Petro thing. He wasn't on the show yesterday.
So let's hear your politics, Giacomo. We're getting ourselves in trouble, Ton and I, anyways.
No, I cannot add anything very original to what you guys already said. The blockchain power is basically decentralization and disintermediation. The whole point of a national issued currency, especially in South American countries that survive thanks to currency manipulation and hyperinflation and stuff like that, is basically the real opposite of what you want to. It's actually what you want to solve with the blockchain. The blockchain purpose is to avoid to have people like Maduro controlling, inflating, manipulating the currencies people are using. So the fact that a central bank in general, but especially in a scam government like that, is issuing a cryptocurrency is already a scam per se. But now we have a scamception, we have an inception of scams, because it's already a stupid idea which doesn't make any sense. Plus they do that using very, very scammy platforms. Plus, when they launched, they also messed up with the launch, basically creating some kind of favoritism and mixing up the things in a horrible way. So central banking cryptocurrencies doesn't make any sense, and central bank currencies, cryptocurrencies from Venezuela are really it's so stupid that it's almost fun. The only positive silver lining could be that apparently, I don't have a lot of confirms about this, but apparently the desire to pump this scam is also shifting a little bit the permanent aggressive ban over Bitcoin activity in Venezuela. So if that's true, so if it's true that people that was previously arrested because they were mining or exchanging Bitcoin are now just co-opted to pump this scam, this could be maybe some kind of mitigation of what Venezuela Bitcoiners were suffering as a risk or as direct physical consequences of the government crackdown. So if there is just a few people from Venezuela that are going to go out of prison after exchanging Bitcoin for this Petro pump, that's a silver lining at least.
Okay, and Tone, I'll bite. I'll take the challenge. Yo entiendo una instituto de empresa en Madrid, pero yo no puedo hablar muy bien dos su experiencia en tecnología, por favor, y ayúdame a entender qué está pasando. What's going on with the mempool?
Actually, I could understand something. Italian and Spanish are similar, so it's possible to understand. I would say nothing new with the mempool except what we already said. What is we were saying before starting? It could be interesting to briefly mention what's happening with the hash rate, but maybe we will analyze that better tomorrow because we still need some data in order to confirm, because it appears that there is a reduction in hash rate of Bitmain related pools, but we still want to check it out.
Great. And Tone, as everybody always asks, I see your live chat as always. Price. It's the price action.
All right, let's go take a look. All right. You guys see that okay?
Yes.
I have one less monitor now that I'm on the road. The price, we're back above 9,000. That's good. But again, because of what happened last week, I continue to say that this is the week where I'm not touching Bitcoin. This is going to, and if this week closes near the top, but doesn't break above last week's high, that's going to be even more problematic going into next week. I think we're consolidating into a point, which you can see on this daily chart. So when we had we closed below 7,500, I would have been totally bearish for a while with a slight bounce back to the $7,500 zone. Once we started going up, I did draw this arrow into the def cross, but if we continue to go up, then the def cross is going to be delayed. So there's no way the def cross is going to happen tomorrow because we're going up fairly quickly. So if there is no def cross for us to go into, I will most likely update these arrows. I'll do that tomorrow. By the way, tomorrow's show might be a little bit later because right now it's about 5 o'clock in Moscow, and I have a conference all day, and I'm the last speaker of the day. So we'll bring in the show to you guys much later in the evening then. Or like in the afternoon, New York time. It will be evening for me here in Russia. And right now we're going up. Now, I would have been a little bit nervous of taking this trade, and you can see how the volume has been dropping as we're going up. That doesn't necessarily mean anything bad. I'm still waiting for this def cross, which may be delayed for quite some time. We'd have to go back down. And the perfect trade would have been to pull slowly into the def cross. But like I said, like the 50 is about to flatten out. And if we continue to go straight up, the 50 could reverse and these moving averages might never cross. Now, if we can break above this $9,000 area, my next point of resistance is going to be the downward trend line in the vicinity of 10,300. So let's see what happens. But as you zoom out, there's not much here yet. there's not much here yet. I got to do one of my trading Bitcoin shows where I want to pull up the inverse of this ticker. So if I go, and I'll talk about that later, and you guys should take a look. But you know what? No, I'll do it on the next. So let me just quickly go through the 4 hour. The 4 hour gave you this pennant, which has reached its target. I didn't draw my target price, but the pennant has reached its target, and now we're flattening out again. This is setting up a scenario for one more push to the upside, potentially into the 200 period moving average. And this is our 1 hour chart, is kind of useless. I'll glance at the 12-hour chart, and the 12-hour chart, which has been very good at timing buys and sells with this indicator, is on a 6 of 9. So maybe in about a day and a half, we can see, we can get to that 9 and probably reverse. I'm still looking at this as a dead cat bounce until proven otherwise. We broke even above the 50-day moving average and got rejected by the trend line. We need to break this 50-day moving average again. It's been very, very important. So that's about it for me. Let me stop screen share.
All right. Vortex, thank you. We will talk about the Bitmain story tomorrow after we analyze it a little bit better. Well, actually, as Giacomo and Tone do, they understand much better than I. And again, thank you so much, World Crypto Network. You can find this show on iTunes later. Again, this is a Bitcoin Morning Brief here with Giacomo and Tone. Giacomo?
Goodbye, everybody. I can just shot with the portal gun and go away.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Good luck trading out there. It's a really rough environment, and not sure what the schedule is going to be like, but any chance I get, I'll try and bring you more videos.
Goodbye, everybody.